Hello and welcome to Superscreen Flagship News, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Olamide Omonka. Many thanks for joining us. The presidency has released a fact sheet outlining the policy and program achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari and his administration since his assumed office 3 years ago. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, revealed this in a statement today. The 41-page document was released 3 days after President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation on Democracy Day. The fact sheet highlights the successes recorded so far in the 3 priorities of the President's change agenda: security, anti-corruption, war, and economy, as well as others. The presidency says at least 1 million persons displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency have returned to their homes and communities across the Northeast since 2015. It also said no fewer than 16,000 Boko Haram hostages have been freed from the terrorist captivity, including 106 of the Chibok girls abducted in 2014 and 105 of the Dapchi school girls abducted in February last year. The Not Too Young to Run movement has called on members of the National Assembly to review its vote on age qualification for the Senate and governorship positions. Convener of the movement, Samson Itodo, said the review should be in tandem with its initial proposal, which puts the age of qualification for governorship and Senate as 30 years of age. The movement described the retention of 35 years for both offices as unfortunate and disappointing, urging the National Assembly to revisit its vote. Itodo said political parties should expedite actions on assenting to electoral reform bills bordering on limiting campaign expenditure and cost of security and securing party nomination. He also called the Nigerian youths to exercise their power in 2019 elections, not only as voters or campaign merchants, but as qualified electoral candidates. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says youth participation in politics is pivotal to the nation's democratic process. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoudi Yakubu, who was represented by Professor Okechukwu Ibianu, disclosed this at the first Abubakar Momo Memorial Lecture held in Abuja. Yakubu stressed the need for government to open up the political space for inclusiveness in politics and governance.
There is the need for the young people to know about voter registration, particularly with the current severe exercise that is going on. They need to know first-time voters and those who recently, turned 18. We also believe there should be a plan, or we should plan a new initiative, which we would like to call Register to Vote in courts. Register to Vote Week in all secondary schools across the country. Based on the school calendar, schools can be asked really to undertake activities that will lead to the registration of senior students en masse. School communities will be asked to support this program with peer-led activities on democratic engagement. We also believe there is a need for INEC and in fact TI Research Department really to carry out a study on youth registration, which basically is the first step in participating in 2019 general election.
Guest speaker and former national president of the Academic Staff Union of University, ASU, Professor Humphrey Asisi Osobe, stressed the need to sensitize and motivate youths to participate more in politics.
The Nigerian youth can remove the obstacles, and that is my point. They can remove the obstacles by themselves. They don't need anybody else to remove the obstacle for them. Actually, democracy is not what other people do for you. Democracy is what you do for yourself. It is not good governance. Good governance implies that somebody governs you and you merely react. What democracy means is that you actually govern yourself directly. If you look at it from the point of view of the principle of subsidiarity, subsidiarity means that it is best to begin to tackle problems at the lowest possible level, at the ward level. So direct governance is possible at the ward level. But when you are also choosing representatives, which is accommodated by the definition of democracy.
The theme of the memorial lecture is Youth Empowerment and Participation in the 2019 general elections. A former member of the House of Representatives, Okpeyemi Bamidele, has reacted to the emergence of BC Egbeyemi as Kayode Fayemi's running mate for the July 14th Ekiti governorship elections. In a statement issued by his media assistant, Ahmed Salami in Ado-Ekiti, Bamidele described the former council boss as a popular politician who is consummate and receptive, adding that age is not a factor in politics, but capability, experience, and popularity. Bamidele is a bridge between the old and young generation politicians in the state, saying his choice will further ensure victory for the All Progressives Congress APC on July 14th. The Defense Headquarters has responded to the recent claims by the Amnesty International, which accused the military personnel of raping thousands of women and girls at the internally displaced persons camps in the country. Amnesty International had in a report revealed how the Nigerian military and civilian joint task force separated women from their husbands and confined them in remote satellite camps where they were allegedly raped, sometimes in exchange for food. Responding to the claims for the first time, Acting Director, Defense Information, Brigadier General John Ajim faulted the claim by the international rights watchdog. Ajim said operatives of the Nigerian Armed Forces never molested, sexually assaulted, nor raped any IDP, as alleged by Amnesty International in its recent report. The Nigerian police force have invited candidates who passed the nationwide recruitment examination conducted on Friday by the Joint Admission and Matriculations Board, JAMB. According to the list published on the Nigerian Police Force website, the candidates are directed to go for the screening at the zonal police headquarters in their state of origin between May 31st and June the 3rd. Report says out of the 37,000 candidates that wrote the examination, only 5,107 candidates were shortlisted for the medical screening by the force. The Court of Appeal in Lagos has discharged and acquitted a former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency in NIMASA, Patrick Akpolo-Kemi, who was charged with an alleged fraud of 2.6 billion naira. In a lead judgment today by Justice Nimpa, a three-man-led appellate court panel upheld the no-case submission filed by Akpolo-Kemi in response to the criminal charges. The appeal court overruled the decision of Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos, who on October 16, 2017, dismissed Akpolo-Kemi's no-case submission. You will recall that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, had on December 4, 2015, arraigned Akpolo-Kemi alongside 5 others for allegedly diverting 2.6 billion naira from the coffers of NIMASA between December 2013 and May 2015. Still on the news, the Joint Health Sector Union, JOHESU, has called off its 43 days old strike, directing its members to resume work on Monday. The directive was contained in a communique issued at the end of the National Executive Council meeting of JOHESU and Assembly of Healthcare Professional Association in Abuja. The union said the strike is not political, but is based on the principle of fairness and justice in workplace. It, however, criticized the federal government for failing to honor its promise of increasing the salaries of health workers nationwide. Still talking the JOHESU strike, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Ayuba Waba, says the Ministry of Health, Isaac Adewale, has no right to deny the Joint Health Sector Union, JOHESU members their salaries. Waba said this while answering questions from journalists shortly after the union suspended a 6-week nationwide strike in Abuja. You will recall that the minister had earlier threatened not to pay the salaries of JOHESU members for the number of days they went on strike. Waba said the minister had no final say on whether the workers will not be paid for the number of days the strike was on, as only President Muhammadu Buhari has the final authority in that regard. Coming up tonight on Superscreen Flagship News, The Petroleum Industry Governance Bill suffers setback as Senate calls for a rework. That's on the business scene. This and many more stories coming your way after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Superscreen Flagship News broadcasting to you from Lagos. And now for some business stories. The Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, PIGB, has suffered a setback for 2 months after it was passed by the National Assembly. The Senate referred the bill back to the Conference Committee on PIG to consider the fundamental issues raised by the Legal Department of the National Assembly, which recommended a fresh legislative action. Majority Leader Senator Ahmad Lawan moved a motion for the referral of the PIGB and the Climate Change Bill to the respective committees for review. Senate President Bukola Saraki put the prayer to voice vote and was unanimously granted. He referred the bills to the committee, asking them to report back in 1 week time. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, says the Nigeria's economic outlook for 2018 and over the medium term is very positive. He said the government is rolling out initiatives such as the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan Focus Labs aimed at attracting sufficient private sector investment to ensure that the country will achieve the growth target of 7% by the year 2020. According to a statement by his media advisor, Akpandem James, the minister said, though the present administration inherited a challenged economy, it has succeeded in turning the situation around as the economy is now out of recession and growing again. And still in business, the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, has slammed the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, over the shifting of the September 2018 deadline for the implementation of the new minimum wage. Ngige earlier in February said the federal government will announce a new minimum wage by September this year. Reacting to this, the NLC president, Ayuba Waba, in a statement, said the Nigerian workers are shocked by the statement credited to the minister. Waba said the current vote faced by the Minister of Labour is not only provocative, but also insensitive, especially in the face of excruciating suffering being endured by Nigerian workers, particularly the increase of the cost of living. Still in business, Malaysia has set up a fund for members of the public to donate cash to help the new government repay its hefty national debt. The Finance Ministry on Wednesday provided an account number for deposits to help curb the country's debt of 1 trillion ringgit, which amounts to 80% of the gross domestic product. The ministry said the fund will be called Malaysia Hope Fund and provided the name of a local bank and an account number for contributions, which is said must be made in cash denominated in the local currency. Still ahead tonight on Superscreen Flagship News, Giuseppe Conte sworn in as the new Italian Prime Minister. That's on the foreign scene. Details of these and more after the break.